is Red Carpet Fly's News on the Fly, bringing you daily unique and interesting entertainment, celebrity, and luxury news. Before we get started, you know what to do. Like, follow, and subscribe to Red Carpet Fly, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single News on the Fly episode. Happy Monday, everyone. How was your weekend? Did you guys do anything fun? My weekend was good. It was overall a low-key weekend, which I like. I did go see my friend Luke and his band perform here in Hollywood, Luke Elders and the Infinite Ways, and that was really cool. But overall, it was a low-key weekend, which I really enjoy. I would have gotten this episode out to you guys a lot earlier, but I had some work done on my eyeballs, so it kind of impaired my vision. So now that I have regained my sight, let's get into these headlines. So did anyone see the new Chip 'n Dale movie? To be perfectly honest, this movie wasn't on the top of my movie watching list, but it was available on Disney Plus, so I decided to watch it while folding clothes on Saturday. I figured it would be a great way to pass the time. Surprisingly, this movie was actually pretty good. It was a nice nostalgic type of movie for anyone who grew up in the 90s. Every cartoon from that era was mentioned in this movie, like Scrooge McDuck, Darkwing Duck, and Roger Rabbit. Talking about Roger Rabbit, according to TMZ, they are calling this movie the spiritual sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit because toons and humans coexist in the same world together. Anyway, I wouldn't even be talking about this movie, but this movie has created a lot of buzz, namely because of the villain. Spoiler alert! If you are planning on watching this movie, just click off of this video right now because I am going to be revealing some movie gems. So this movie is about a bunch of, for lack of a better word, has-been cartoons. Among the has-beens is Peter Pan, who is the villain of the movie. Peter Pan, the boy who would never grow up and the golden boy of Hollywood, turns bad because, as we all know, you eventually have to grow up. Well, according to Pan, the reality of adulthood was like a brick to the face because in the movie, he describes how the studio kicked him to the curb as he started to age. Well, what makes Pan's story so interesting and has caused all this controversy is because the fictional story of what happened to the actor who played Peter Pan is oddly similar to the true story of the real Peter Pan actor, Bobby Driscoll. Have you guys heard of this guy? I'll wait. Yeah, I've never heard of him either, but apparently, according to TMZ, where I originally heard this story, Bobby Driscoll was the voice of Peter Pan and was at one time Disney's golden boy before they threw him to the streets when he reached puberty. Driscoll died at the age of 31 from drugs and misery, and this new Chip 'n Dale movie seems to accurately reflect the tragic story of Peter Pan, and it has some people pissed, vowing never to watch this movie. People, aka fans, think it's very disrespectful for this movie to dip into Driscoll's story for a few laughs and punchlines. They feel like it's unwarranted territory, especially since Driscoll may have in fact spiraled as a result of how Disney treated him. Wow, who knew there was so much backstory to this movie? I just thought it was some dumb, silly movie, but this story adds some color to this movie. Anyway, I enjoyed the movie, and if you're like me and grew up watching Saturday morning cartoons or cartoons from that time period, I encourage you to watch this movie. I believe the movie is in theaters, but it's also available on Disney Plus, so check it out. So it's been a while since we talked about Will Smith, and he's been keeping a pretty low profile, but news has been hitting the blogs that Will Smith may have predicted his own downfall. According to the Jasmine brand, Will Smith may have had a premonition that gave him some foresight before the recent slap controversy. The 54-year-old rapper claimed that while tripping on ayahuasca, he saw a vision that his career would be destroyed. Ayahuasca is a psychoactive herbal drink. He shared this revelation to David Letterman on his most recent episode of My Next Guest Needs No Introduction. He states, once you drink it, you're going to see yourself in a way you've never seen yourself. One of the experiences was the individual most hellish psychological experience of my life. I drank it, and it usually takes about 45 minutes to kick in, and I'm sitting there, and you always feel like maybe it won't kick in this time. So I'm drinking, and I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden, it's like I start seeing all of my money flying away, and my house is flying away, and my career is going away. My whole life is getting destroyed. This is my fear in real life, and I'm there, and I'm wanting to vomit and all of that, and I hear a voice saying, this is what the F it is. This is what the F life is. The episode appeared to come full circle when he heard his daughter Willow calling out for help, which he says put things into perspective. When I came out of it, I realized that anything that happens in my life, I can handle it. I can handle any person I lose. I can handle anything that goes wrong in my life. I can handle anything in my marriage. I can handle anything that this life has to offer me. Wow. Drugs are hell of a drug. How crazy is that to possibly predict the end of everything you work so hard to build? Honestly, I think Will Smith had been coming unglued for a while. There's only so much teasing a person can take, and the internet is undefeated in making millions of memes about Will Smith, his wife Jada, and his kids before the slap. So I feel like this breakdown was bound to happen. And this is why I don't do drugs. Why would I electively want to freak out about my life? I freak out about it every day. Adulting is so hard. I feel like every day is a miracle, and I thank God just for getting me through, because sometimes you gotta walk by faith. So sorry if I don't want to electively experience something bad, especially if it has to do with destroying my life, the life I worked so hard to create. What do you guys think about this story? It's wild, right? Leave your comments below. Lastly, so we all know I love flying private. That's just my zhuzh. But flying private can be extremely harmful to the planet. According to reports, flying private can produce 8 times more emissions per person than comparable jaunts on commercial carriers. So with this surge in private flying, you can see that this trend can wreak havoc on the environment. Well, according to the Robb Report, as the world's attention to climate change intensifies, anti-takeoff efforts are, well, taking off. FlexScam, or Flight Shame, is a Swedish-birthed anti-aviation campaign that leverages social pressure to keep folks grounded. Cut out flights, flex scammers posits, and you're making major sacrifices to offset climate change. The facts, of course, are a little bit more complicated, but I'm not going to get into all the numbers because it would make this podcast episode really long and possibly a bit boring. However, the long and short of it is that flying in general is bad for the environment, but private aviation gets a bad rap for putting out a lot of greenhouse gas emissions for their luxury flights. Sustainability in this sector is in its infancy, but many leaders are making slow, although determined steps. For example, OEMs like Bombardier and Gulfstream try to improve their footprint in their production processes. Fractional and charter firms, of course, are keen to tout their commitments to climate. NetJets, for instance, now includes carbon offsets in their proposals to their clients and has committed to buying 100 million gallons of sustainable aviation fuel from waste fuel. And basically, what a carbon offset program is a simple way for individuals or organizations, in this case, airline passengers and corporate customers, to neutralize their proportion of an aircraft's carbon emission on a particular journey by investing in carbon reduction projects, like planting trees in the rainforest or investing in wind power projects. So basically, you mitigate your bad by trying to do good, if that makes sense. However, carbon offsetting isn't endorsed as a practice by all climate change experts. It has a long history of not lowering carbon levels, says Greenpeace's UK Charlie Cronick, who notes that his own organization doesn't buy them as they don't actually reduce the amount of carbon dioxide discharged into the atmosphere, the key metric for Greenpeace. They are too often based on exaggerated claims of emission reductions, he says. A one-off payment for a carbon credit does not assure the growth of trees, nor the protection of rainforests from fires or industrial pressures. So since these type of programs aren't surefire ways of reducing greenhouse emissions by private jets in particular, the industry is turning to eVTOLs, electric vehicles, takeoff and landing aircrafts. These Tony Stark-like concept planes rely on climate-friendly fuel for propulsion and takeoff and land much like helicopters. Robert Downey Jr. has invested in Whisper Aero, one of the startups aiming to pioneer this technology. The commitment has been attention-grabbing enough that it's persuaded several celebrities to invest in different firms, including the JLo-backed Archer and Larry Page's Whisk, which have all been embroiled in legal tussles. The eVTOL segment, which has attracted serious financial investors for half a dozen brands, are now publicly traded and expects to see its first electric aircraft certified in 2024 and 2025, with widespread adoption expected closer to 2030. Besides emission-free credentials, eVTOL aircrafts will also offer new ways to commute within cities and regions. Non-passenger eVTOL aircrafts are likely to come into service as cargo carriers before being adopted for passenger transport. Anyway, I wanted to bring this story to you guys because I've heard a lot about electric cars, but electric planes? Would you guys put your life in the hands of an electric plane? What happens in the event of a thunderstorm? And what type of battery could sustain the energy it takes to fly a plane and to serve it to people on the plane? I just have so many questions. I've been reading tons of articles about electric planes and I've been wanting to discuss them with you guys, but the articles can be a bit long and they can be very technical, so I've held off for a bit. Right now, it's a no for me. I'm gonna have to see a lot of passenger flights before this little tushy boards an electric plane. But would you guys be okay with traveling on an electric plane? Is it just me, or am I the only one? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's it for Red Carpet Fly's News on the Fly. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share our YouTube channel, Red Carpet Fly, and also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Red Carpet Fly. And until tomorrow, always stay fly.